Today I'd like to talk about chapter 33 of the Book of Deuteronomy as we near the end of that amazing book. Chapter 33, it shows how the Lord protected the people as they journeyed. And it's a beautiful expression to express the Lord's protection. It says, "But all of the holy ones of God were in the hands of God." So God literally held the people at this time in the hands of God. The hands of God were surrounding the people. What a beautiful way to express God's love for the people of God. That here is God with those hands around the people that he loved so much. God loved them so deeply. And we just think of all of those people in our life who have reached out to us and held us in their hands and surrounded us with their love. And it's just a beautiful understanding of the connection that God has with the people of God. And it says, the Lord became king of the darlings. It uses that expression of intimacy, the darling. We speak of somebody as our darling, meaning we have a special, intimate love for them. They're our beloved, they're our darling, they're our special love that we have for them. And to think of this as God with the people of God. This is how God expresses that feeling in the book of Deuteronomy in chapter 33. So blessings now are bestowed on each of the tribes, with the one exception, not the tribe of Simeon. Reuben, that he may live on. The tribe had been kind of dwindling a bit. Judah, that God will help the tribe of Judah against their foes. Levi, that they would accept the ministry of the hands of the priests, that the tribe of Levi would become the priestly tribe. They would be the tribe that would offer the sacrifice at the temple. Benjamin, that God will shelter Benjamin and protect Benjamin. Benjamin was always seen as kind of vulnerable. Joseph, God will provide many crops and wealth because Joseph had provided those crops to feed the people when, of course, they were in the famine and they came to Egypt. So that sense that the tribe of Joseph will continue to have those crops and that wealth. Zebulun, the treasures of the sea. Zebulun, the tribe, was noted as fishermen. Gad, that they would help the other tribes, that the tribe of Gad would always come to the assistance of the other tribes because they were kind of outside of the geographical area of the tribe, so that they would come and help, being that they were on the other side of the Jordan River. Dan would have the power of a lion, and Dan was particularly noted as a warrior tribe. Naphtali would occupy the land around the lake of Gennesareth, again that fishing land. And Asher, an abundance of olive groves, so they were noted for their production of the olive oil. So each of the tribes had a particular charism, we might say, a particular quality that the blessing brings out. Now God's power will protect the people. God will give them a land that will have in it both wine and grain. And you can't do better than that. And we speak of the wine and grain, we speak of it even in terms of today of our Eucharistic celebration. We speak of the bread and the wine, the body and blood of the Lord. And the Lord will be a shaving shield for the people, that God will protect the people. The shield that will save them from the arrows and the buffets and the stones and all of those other things that people hurl at them. The shield, God will protect the people of God. Then in chapter 34, the Lord takes Moses up to Mount Nebo and shows him the land that the people will occupy. So he gets a great view of this land all the way to the Mediterranean. It is the land which God promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So this land of promise, God is now going to fulfill the promise that God made to the patriarchs, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. Moses died. We hear of his death in chapter 34, and he was buried in the ravine opposite Beth Peor in the land of Moab. So he is not buried in the land of Israel. but in the land of Moab. No one knows the exact place of his burial. It's kind of still to this day mysterious. It's generally known, a general area, but the specific grave, not known. According to the scriptures, he was 120 when he died, and he was still a vigorous man when he died, even though he had some problems, as we've seen in a previous chapter, in terms of his mobility. The Israelites mourned Moses for 30 days, and then Joshua, the son of Nun, became the new leader. But Moses had laid his hands on him, this transfer of power by the laying on of hands, and he has the gift of wisdom, and that gift of wisdom is going to be much needed as the people journey into this promised land. We're going to see the many encounters they have described in the book of Joshua, the next book we'll be taking a look at. And there's a great tribute in chapter 34 that's given to Moses. It says, "No prophet has arisen in Israel like Moses. The Lord knew him face to face." So the Lord had this very close relationship with Moses, and no other prophet is going to have that type of intimacy with God that Moses had. You might say not only is Moses the greatest leader of the Jewish people, but the greatest prophet. We're going to see other kings that will come, David and Solomon, who in some sense might be more powerful in the lands that they controlled. But Moses, the special veneration, the special love that the people of God have for Moses, because of his crucial leadership, his dedication to God, his leading of the people out of Egypt, receiving the Ten Commandments, and this intimate relationship, this face-to-face relationship he has with God, truly amazing. And it ends by saying that he had no equal in all the signs and wonders that the Lord sent him to perform in Egypt. So there was no equal to Moses. The signs, the wonders that he did in terms of leading the people, no one could match those. Moses exhibited much power in the sight of Israel. And so we end the book of Deuteronomy on this note of the passing of Moses. And now we are getting ready to enter into the promised land after this long journey through the desert, this journey that was led by Moses under the direction of God, sustained by God's love and generosity for the people. Now we will see what happens to them as they enter into now the promised land and the back and forth that they have in terms of their relationship with God.